What's going on, guys? No Guides here. Welcome back to another video. In today's video, I'm going to be explaining my top 3 effective formations, attacking formations that I'm currently using in game. I thought I'd just quickly show you these, but just do bear in mind these are subject to change. They'll obviously change depending on, the more I play the game, the more I understand it, and also, in the coming weeks, I might want to change my game style or, make a formation more attacking or defensive. But these are my top 3. Ignore the 5-2-1-2 for now. A video will come out on that soon, but there needs to be some refinement for that formation. But especially for the stamina for the fullback, so I've got to change that up. But it's the 4-2-3-1, 4-1-2-1-2 second variation, and a 4-4-2. Just to give you the too long didn't read or didn't listen. 4-2-3-1, a very good formation for overloading a certain aspect of the pitch. 4-1-2-1-2 is kind of like lasering and trying to pinpoint the middle of the pitch, and that's where majority of my attack's going to be. And a 4-4-2 second variation is a formation against the 4-1-2-1-2. This is the 4-1-2-1-2 breakers, as what I like to call it, and is used to break down 4-1-2-1-2s and easily create effective counter attacks. So let's start with a 4-2-3-1. Drop back. I still think it's very OP this year. We're going with a 6-step because naturally I don't want to get exposed on the wing area, so that's why I went 6-step. I just don't want to get killed down the wing. A lot of people are just doing quick 1-2s with the rams to my right back, to their right backs or right wings, and I haven't got enough coins now to buy a right back who's got above 90 pace. So I just gone with the 6. Depth, we'll put it on 3. I'm struggling with rebounds, truthfully speaking. Although I've got a good win to loss ratio, for me, generally speaking, the only games I'm losing are games that I shouldn't lose. They're just like I'm losing in the 90th minute due to one rebound and hitting the post 4 times. So I've kind of modified this formation. It's still attacking, but the idea is it's on drop back. So when I'm defending, the players are going to be next to my goalkeeper. So if a person is deliberately running down the wing and deliberately trying to shoot across goal from absurd angles in the hope of an event of such as a rebound, this is the kind of formation to prevent that and still be attacking. Balanced. I don't want players. I used long ball last year, but I think the meta is now is getting the ball with one, so instead of, the problem is with long ball is essentially when you have the ball, if you have, for example, one of your cams on long ball, they're going to run it behind. But I think the meta is to get the ball with your cam and then hold the ball, do some dribbling and wait for everyone else to reposition, then make the pass through. I think that's kind of the way it's going forward, and that's what I think is the best option to leave some balanced. Width, I want it to be as wide as possible, of course. For the sole reason with the 4-2-3-1, it's quite a wide formation naturally, but my left attacking mid and right attacking mid, I want them kind of to act as like left forward and right forwards a bit. So that's the reason why I try to increase the width. But also I think the 4-2-3-1 naturally is quite a narrow formation. So in this way, it kind of makes it as left wing and right, left wings and right wingers, but literally they're just a bit more narrow in the middle. So it's quite effective for the counter attack. So they're basically placed in between the centre back and the right back. So for example, the ram in this case, the ram is just in some respect in between these two players. So that's where the ram is placed. It's kind of what I want. So imagine the 4-2-3-1. Players in the box, it's 4, but don't worry, I got some instructions to overload that. So instructions: get it behind striker. Stay forward on the cam. So essentially, it's the way I look about this is. The reason behind the stay forward, if you remember last year, I talked about the 4-2-3-1, right? That's how the formation technically looks like. So it's almost an attacking 4-4-1-1. That's the reason why I play, the cam on stay forward. He's kind of like the center forward kind of guy. Lamb and Ram, I have them both on balance, but I have them on get into the box. So the idea is when I have a player like Semedo and he's running down the wing, the idea is when he does do a lofted pass into the box, my Lamb and my Ram will attempt to attack it. So they're deep runners, and if I do miss the shot or the goalkeeper does parry away, they'll be there for the rebounds. This is where it gets interesting though. So last year I had stay back for both my fullbacks and stay back while attacking, cut passing lanes and cover centre. This year I've changed it. So the left back's on stay back. The CDM's on cut passing lane, drop between defenders. And my other centre mid's on stay forward, and my right back's on join the attack. So this is what I'm trying to basically overload. Now, the way I'm trying to achieve that is basically what's going to happen in game is the CDM, Zachary will kind of drop. So this is kind of how it look like in game, right? So that's the typical 4-2-3-1. So my idea is Semedo will run forward. So he'll be running, providing support. Now, Modric also run forward, and Zakaria will drop between the centre backs. So essentially, these are my back four. So what you're seeing right now on the screen, these are this kind of 4 players are my back four. So when I do get counter-attacked, they're going to be in position to defend it. But the idea is I want to kind of attack the right-hand side. That's why I'm overloading the players on the right-hand side. So that's the reason why Modric is kind of on to get forwards. He's kind of the playmaker who makes the runs deep and behind. When Semedo does get the ball, he does cross the ball in, my Lam, my Ram are going to get into the box. So they can make the last-minute runs to get the goals. That's kind of what I'm trying to do, or trying to achieve is what I should say. As I said, I'm still doing testing, so do bear with me. But that's kind of what I want to do, or what I'm achieving or trying to do. But yeah, that's the instructions. Join the attack. Have it on balance, by the way. Get forward for the CDM. Have it on cover center though, and cover center as well for the other CDM, but drop between defenders. So ideally, your most defensive player, ask him to drop between the defenders. So he's kind of the recovery player, and then Modric, of course, on get forward. Overload the right hand side. I might change this depending on my opponent. So if my opponent has a weak left hand side, I might, for example, swap Modric and Zakaria around in game, and swap Tierney and Semedo. The reason I have Semedo on go forward because he's got good dribbling, 4-star skills, and he's a bit better than Tierney. So that is why I just changed it. So I find that most players on their left-hand side, they're weak. They haven't got the best left backs. They've got cheap left backs. I try to overload them on the left-hand side. On their left-hand side, obviously, it's my right-hand side, but it's my opponent's left-hand side, if that makes sense. So that's the 4-2-3-1. Second formation, 4-1. That's by the way, that's the formation I use when I'm 0-0. I'm struggling to get a goal. Or if I just 0-0, I'm just playing the game normally. The second formation I use is the 4-1-2-1-2. This is the formation where I need a goal. Let's say I'm 2-0 down. I need to get a goal as soon as possible. This is the kind of the formation I end up using. It's a very attacking formation, very condensed in the middle. Balanced again, same thing. But no, sorry, I didn't go a drop back because I want players to be high up the pitch. Now, truthfully speaking, depending on if you're good at defending or not, you can use pressure on heavy touch. I've been experimenting with that because I've got a bit faster players now. It does seem a bit more viable, but use balance, I would say. Width, increase this to 6. I'm only using 3, just because I want to tell you exactly what I'm using. It's because when I'm defending, I want my players to be in a narrow and condensed in the middle. So that way I can break down the tiki-takas and win the ball back and then kind of charge forward. Depth, high. I kind of want to win the ball back high up the pitch, and I want my players to be very attacking. Again, balance offensive. I don't want my players to be getting in behind, but just for your information, I do have my 2 strikers on get it behind. So both my strikers on get it behind. So the idea is these guys will kind of play the tiki-takas between them, and the 2 strikers, they're going to run in, get in behind. That's kind of the logic. Width 3, again, narrow as possible. I kind of had the defensive width and offensive width in unison. The reason why is I left them in accordance. It's just that I don't want too much of a transition between defensive and attacking. So if I see my left and mid when I'm defending, when I'm attacking is basically going to be in the same position, or that's what I'm trying to achieve. I've not really tested that 100%. Players in the box, I left that on, this doesn't really matter because I have the instructions, but I left it on 6 anyway. So the instructions, get in behind, both. Cam, stay forward, get into the box. Left in the mid and right in the mid, both on balance, but they both are get into the box. CDM on drop between defenders, cut passing lanes, cover center. And then the fullbacks are both on stay back. Now again, what I want to do is, because all these players get into the box, so if, for example, my right back does get the ball and he crosses the ball in, I want my right centre mid, my left centre mid, and my cam to all attack the ball. Zakaria is still there to defend last resort. Now you're probably wondering, well, since I have my fullbacks on if you remember, I have my fullbacks not on balance. I have them on stay back while attacking. I use the D-pad tactic in game. So what I do is I put these guys on fullbacks during the attack. So what happens in game, or what's meant to happen, is that my 2 strikers there up front, my cam, my left centre mid and right centre mid, they're on balance, so they're going to keep going up and down. Depending on their situation, they're going to go up and down the pitch as the game goes on. Zakaria will drop between the CDMs, between the centre backs, and then my centre backs will fly forward. So I'm just going to overload my opponent, mainly in the middle. These guys are just distractions. I don't have any intention of actually using these guys. They're merely just this distraction. So that's the reason why I have these guys here. They're just for like the 1-2s with the cams or or the strikers. That's kind of the logic behind them. But that's the way I'm trying to play it. Oh, that's the way I want to play it. As I said, breaking down the middle of the pitch, I think that's the best place to break your opponent down. And this is mainly if my opponent's using a 4-2-3-1, or he's even using any form of a 4-4-2, or another meta formation is a 4-3-1-2. So that's a formation I'm using as well. So it's quite good defensively to block the middle, and it's good for offensively. Now, if I'm struggling even so, and against an opponent that's playing very wide, then I change to the 4-4-2. Now the 4-4-2, I love this formation. I'm sure many of you guys know. There is major issues with this formation, but it also major positives. The reason I want to use the 4-4-2 is this is the 4-1-2-1-2 breaker. Now, as you can imagine, the 4-1-2-1-2 is a very narrow formation. So when I'm using the 4-1-2-1-2, I want to kind of use the wing areas. But don't forget, these left centre mids, if you watch my last 4-1-2-1-2 video, you'll know these kind of left centre mids and right centre mids, they don't defend the wings that well. So that's why the 4-4-2 is there to exploit it. So the reason why I use the 4-4-2 is that these guys, they're going to fly forward and they're going to be wide. I don't have them on stay wide, but I'll get into that in a second. So fullback, stay back, kind of same as last year. CDMs also stay back, cut passing lanes, cover center. There's no point of using cover wing, of course, because my left mid and right mid are going to cover the wing. Come back on the fence, both my left mid and my right mid. I don't have it on stay wide because I don't want them to be wide. What I mean by that is I don't want them to always be wide. I want them to be wide, but I want them sometimes to cut inside when AI decides or deems it's reasonable. So I left this on balance. Same with getting behind. I don't want them always to get in behind, because I think that when you have a winger, if you keep getting in behind, your opponent's going to keep reading you. But if you trigger the players manually, or you do, like, for example, a simple 1-2. So what I'm trying to say is, if you have the ball with your right mid and you do a simple 1-2 and you pass the ball to your right back and your right mid makes the run, you can play the ball through there. That's what I'm trying to achieve there. This is where it gets a bit interesting though. Getting behind for my most attacking striker, Promes, but Depay is on comeback on offense. So the logic is that Depay is going to defend, and when I'm defending, because it's the 4-1-2-1-2 killer, I'm still easily weak in the midfield. So that's why I kind of put, if you remember, instruction wise, I put CDMs on cover center. So that's the stability in the middle, but also Depay drops back. So the reasoning behind that is two reasons. One, against a 4-1-2-1-2, let's say that's your opponent's right striker, left striker, and his cam and his left centre mid and right centre mid. As you can see, you're kind of outnumbered, so my logic is Depay will help fill that gap against the 4-1-2-1-2. But more importantly, when you're attacking, he's going to be much deeper, so it ends up becoming like a 4-4-1-1. Just think about kind of like a bit like Atletico Madrid's, 4-4-1-1 back in like 2014. You probably know what I'm talking about. But the logic is, Depay in this instance, he will drop back and help defend. Promes is on balance, so he'll kind of be about here. So the idea is, when I'm defending, he will just help cut the passing lanes. But when I do get the ball back, he will act. So let's say when I'm defending, it'll be like this. But when I get the ball back, he will act as like the center forward. So when my players do start running ahead, like so, he's going to be basically you can argue the playmaker kind of guy. So he's kind of the center forward. So the idea is, striker always stays forward. He helps come back and defend. But when I'm transitioning from defense to attack, he's going to be played much deeper, so he's going to be the centre forward role. And then from him, I can distribute the ball to the right or to the left-hand side. Well, that's the logic I'm trying to achieve here. And as I said, against the 4-1-2-1-2, I want to use the wide play. So when Depay does drop inside, the benefit is when he does pick up the ball, he can dribble and he can wait for, like, normally Teixeira gets subbed on for Torreira. Normally, so then I can maybe trigger a run manually for him to get in behind. And then that's why I use fast build-up play. So fast build-up play, it's because I want everyone, as soon as I get the ball, I want everyone just to sprint forward, and that's why Depay gets into position. But more importantly, you're probably wondering, well, why don't I just put Depay on false 9? That's probably going to be a question. The reason why I don't want him on false 9 is I want there to be 4 strikers. When you're attacking, I want there to be 4 strikers, all in a line, if that makes sense. The problem is, if you have, in some respect, Depay drop back. So let's say when you're attacking, this is kind of how I look like when you're attacking, right? A bit like this. If you have Depay on drop back, he will kind of false 9, so he will kind of drop into midfield. I want him to stay in a forward role. That's why I have him on comeback on the fence. So he acts like a cam, kind of running back, but when I'm attacking, he runs back into the strike position. So I still want him there when I'm attacking as the outlet player. But when I don't have the ball, I want him to come back, and that way he helps defensively, but then also he's there for the, as a centre forward guy to help link up play with the striker. Now tactics, width quite wide, because you can argue that the 4-1-2-1-2 is against the 4-1-2-1-2 you want to have a low width, but because I'm trying to make this attacking formation, I only want to defend when I lose possession of the ball or when I'm getting counter-attacked. So that's why I want my players to be spread out. That's the logic, because I'm on fast build-up plays. People are going to be running back and forth. Depth, obviously, high as possible. Trying to win the ball back high up the pitch as possible, and I want everyone to be high up the pitch. Fast build-up players, I said before, as soon as I get the ball, I just want to pounce, attack the wings, do quick 1-2s with my CDMs. Now width, it's quite a wide formation naturally. I don't want it too wide, as I said. I don't want my left mid and right mid always on a wide position. So I gave it 6 or 5, and to be honest, that is enough because the 4-4-2 naturally is quite a wide formation. And obviously I have maximum plays into the box. The reason behind that is I just don't, just positioning wise, I don't want to have a situation where the only downside this year with the 4-4-2 is that there's too much of a gap between the strikers. This is what I've realized is between the strikers and the CDMs. So there's like a massive hole in your midfield. So whereas the pie helps defensively, the problem is when he does get the ball, and let's say for example the attack's already started and he does advance to a 4-striker formation, there's still a pretty big gap in the defensive position. Because I've got high depth as well, I kind of want the players to be in such a, the CDMs, basically what it is, the CDMs being in such a way, the CDMs are there, so if I'm in trouble attacking, the CDMs are just outside the box. So I can use Modric, for example, and I could pass the ball to Modric, and then he can maybe distribute the ball to the right wing or something. You see what I'm saying? That's the reason why. So when I am, let's say Samira does run down the wing, and I'm in a situation with all my strikers occupied, my CDMs are just there, just in case, if that makes sense. And of course, I don't want them to get into the box really because I have enough strikers. But those are my 3 formations: 4-2-3-1, 4-1-2-1-2, and 4-4-2 second variation. Just to reiterate, 4-2-3-1 is kind of a bit of everything in some respect. It's narrow, but it's a bit of everything. Generally, the formation I use when I'm getting into the game, I'm mainly attacking an opponent's left back or right back. 4-1-2-1-2, trying to get down the middle from 2-0 down. I need to get a goal back as soon as possible. Spam tiki-taka, spam the 1-2s, get forward as fast as possible. If I'm up against a 4-1-2-1-2, I change to the 4-4-2 second variation, fast build-up play, attack the wings. Basically, in some respect, you're forcing his left mid and right mid to go out to the wide positions to cover my left mid and right mid. So there's obviously a lot of options there. But these are my top 3 attacking formations. Hope you enjoyed it. As I said, this is all subject to change, so don't be surprised if in 2 weeks' time or when the new patch comes out in October, I change it up because, you know, there might be something I don't like, might be something I might get better players. So anyway, that's what I'm using now. Try it, take it with a grain of salt. It might not work for you, but if you understand why I did certain things and you try to play it that way, it should work for you. But anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you very much for watching. Take it easy, and I'll catch you in the next one.